Fine. So revision for model exam 1. So these could be the complete syllabus for you. Exceptions, streams, multi-threading, generics, AWT, swing. Okay. Pertaining to exception, exception is an abnormal behavior generated during the runtime of the program. Right. So that could be my exception. There is a vast difference between exception and error. Always. Okay. If your program could not able to handle the given input, even though the program logic is correct, so in that case my exception will be thrown. So pertaining to exception, what are all the keywords available? So when we are working with the keywords, try, throw, catch, throws, finally, right? Try, throw, catch, throws, finally. Okay, so the influence of these keywords are, so whenever I am going to use my logic, it may throw exception, right? I'm having an assumption, or I may think that this particular code may throw exception. This code may generate exception. Such code must be written within that try block. Okay. So once that code has been written inside the try block, the code will generate an exception. Okay. That the exception is in terms of the language that compiler will speak, but that is not properly understood by the end user. To avoid that, the exception message generated by the compiler will be captured by the catch block. In turn, the message what we have given within the catch block that would be understood by the user will be shown towards the end user, right? So that is the purpose of this try and catch block. Purpose of throw. So throw is used to assign a particular exception. Okay, assign a particular exception. Throws. When I want to incorporate the exception mechanism, either it is built-in or user-defined for a particular method, I could able to use throws. That is the main difference between throw and throws. And one more thing is, it would be used for declaring the exception, right? The role of a throw would be, it would be used for declaring the exception. And finally, what is the purpose of finally? So after the completion of the exception, if you want, any code need to be executed, or after the exception is handled, or after the exception is managed. In that case, after the episode of exception, if you want to execute anything, that code must be inscribed within the finally block, right? That could be my ultimate flow of exception. Basically, exception will be classified into two types, checked and unchecked. Okay, so like how you are handling your interrupts, software interrupts and hardware interrupts, likewise only. Maskable interrupts and non-maskable interrupts, so likewise only. So the things which could be handled will come under my checked exceptions. Unchecked exceptions are that I could able to manage. That's all. Right? For example, due to hardware, some issues are going to be raised. Only I could able to manage. I could not able to handle it. If anything is happening due to software, I could able to manage through my software itself. That is the main difference between checked and unchecked exception. Right? So this is about the overlay of my complete exception. Next, while we are coming for streams. What is meant by stream? Stream is nothing but the flow of data. Okay, flow of data. Still very clear. It's nothing but flow of raw data. Still, if you want to fine tune, flow of bytes. Still, if you want to fine tune, flow of bits. Right. So that could be my stream. Here, streams can be generally classified into two categories: input stream and output stream. Input stream is specifically mapped with the input devices. Output stream is specifically mapped with the output devices. That's the major classification. But while you are coming for system level means while you are coming for the operating system level, So what are all the things that is going to available for me? I want to handle my input through keyboard. So that is the thing. I want to handle my input through my printer. Output to my printer. I want to handle my input and output through my file. Okay, here devices as well as data structures also going to come. File is a data structure. Keyboard and the printer are nothing but my devices. So for devices as well as for my file, what is the common thing that I could able to deploy? I could able to deploy a buffer, right? So that could be the major mechanism that would be ready to help me for transferring the data from one device to file, one device to other device, file to device. The device may be uh, especially file would be the intermediate one. So from input device to file, I could able to transfer. From file to console window, output device, monitor, I could able to transfer. From file, I could able to send it towards the some external printer also. So print stream is also possible, right? So what is the main reason of knowing about all those streams? Because every stream is mapped with the specific corresponding classes. If you take file, the streams will be maintained through file reader, file writer. If I am going to work with my input device and input stream and output stream. If I am going to perform the usage of buffer means buffered input reader. Okay. So likewise, the same would be applicable for my output also, right? So if I want to communicate with my printer, print writer, okay, so print streams also being available. So based upon file, based upon my input device, based upon my output device, I am having set of classes which are necessary to manage the communication between input device to file, file to output device, as well as vice versa, right? So that could be the entire classification of streams that could be able to look after overall. That file programming is a part of the streams. Okay. So how I will create a file? So it is enough for me to create the file using the class file. File object equal to new file. That's all. That will be helpful for me to create a file. So if exists or not, that method exists, that will help me to find out that this file is available or not. So it is very easy for me to work with that, to write data into the file, right? So I have methods to work over on that, as well as after completing all the read or write operations using method close, I could able to close the file, right? So using a single object for file, I could able to open the file, I could able to write data into the file, I could able to read data from the file. That could be as well as close the file. That could be the major role. Normally, the stream is mapped with the programming environment in terms of character or string, right? If it is going to be character means it would be completely ASCII character only, right? The stream will be mapped with the ASCII character only. So if it is going to be working with the completely based upon string means what I have to do, if I want to process the stream, I have to typecast the character data or string data into the higher level data type using wrapper classes. I have to convert those low level stream data into high level processing data. Either I could able to use my wrapper classes or I could able to go for a normal typecasting. It's enough, right? So that are all the points that we have to discuss upon the streams while we are coming for multi-threading, right? What is mean by thread? Thread is nothing but the flow of control. I am going to manage the flow control inside the program, right? So anyway, while we are going to talk about multi-threading, we have to talk about the general phenomenon available in our computer science engineering. What is that? Multi-programming. What is mean by multi-programming? Keeping more than one program at a time in the RAM. That is what multi-programming. Multi-processing. What does it mean? More than one CPU or more than one processor will be there. That is what multi-processing. What is mean by multitasking? So it is talking something about concurrency or parallel processing, that what I am going to perform. So at a time I could able to perform more than one task. Example, while listening music in YouTube, I could able to parallelly type a Word document in my machine, right? So that is going to be my multitasking. What is mean by multi-threading, right? So in a single program, multiple threads will get to occupy. For example, I am having 1 lakh numbers are there. I want to sort those numbers. I am going to apply the merge sort. So what I will do, I am going to create a cluster of 10,000 numbers of each group. Even if necessary, I will subdivide into thousands of each 10,000 also. So I am going to create a thread to manage. I am going to create each and individual thread to manage every cluster. For example, I have created 10 clusters of each 10,000 numbers means, so ultimately it will go for 1 lakh. So I'm going to give, I'm going to write, I'm going to create 10 threads. First thread will work on first 10,000 numbers. Second thread will work on second 10,000 numbers, right? So during merging that I could be able to create subsequent threads also. That is also possible. So within a single program, multiple flow of controls will manage the different sections of the program at a time. In operating system, you will learn about this like critical section, right? So at a time within a program, multiple sections of the program will be handled by multiple threads. This is what your multi-threading. So what could be the life cycle of a multi-threading environment? So initially the thread need to be inserted, nothing but I have to start the thread. Start, that is the initial method, right? So how it will flow. So once it start, it will get into the, it got created. Okay, now it is ready to commence its process. One start is being given. Now it is going to execute the thread. How it will execute? The logic, what it need to be performed under multi-threading, that must be written within the run method. Okay, that must be written within the run method. Which logic need to exhibit the feature of multi-threading, that must be written within the run method. Okay, so that's the reason. So it will go to the run method. For example, if you want to suspend your thread for some particular number of timings, for particular number of milliseconds, in that case what you have to do, you have to use sleep method, right? So in the sleep method, that what you have to provide, you have to pass the delay value in terms of milliseconds as an argument for the sleep method. So even if you want to make the thread to terminate while it is in the sleep mode, right? Otherwise after running, ultimately the thread will be terminated. Suppose if you are if you want to wake up the thread before the time that sleep is going to complete, right? If you want to wake up the thread in the middle during its suspension period, so you could be able to move for the notify. Suppose multiple number of threads are there, you can use the method notify all, right? So these are all the methods will help us to manage the complete life cycle of thread. Okay, so using this I could able to perform intercommunication between them. Okay, so if I want to manage, the threads, what are all the methods are available? Let 3 threads are running, make the first thread to run, then between the 2 threads, remaining 2 threads, I could able to perform multi-threading. In that case, I have to employ join method, right? Once it completes the process, rest of them will perform multi-threading, right? That could be the rule. Synchronized. So synchronized usage is nothing but when I am going to use along with my threads, inter-thread communication will be properly mapped. That is the reason why usage of synchronized was introduced, right? So a very good problem is producer-consumer problem or dining philosopher's problem. What is dining philosopher's problem? Assume that you are having a group of monks, right? Being in odd number, they are sitting as a circle. So they are having a plate in front of them, right? In the plate, left side of your plate, they have a fork. Right side of your plate, they have a fork, right? What is their process means? They will think. Whenever they don't have anything to think, they will eat. These are all the 2 processes that they are going to do. In that case, if they want to do any one of these process, right? For thinking, they don't need to go for usage of the forks, right? In the time, the fork will be idle. So the person who is sitting next to the monk, could able to use it, right? So while he is going to use the who is sitting adjacent to the next person, next monk, that he could not able to eat. He has to only think. So who needs to utilize this? Because uh, that it's not like around the left side and right side of the plates will have a fork, right? But every mark don't have two forks. Assume that. So if three monks are going to sit, means three plates will be there, right? For every plate, totally there would be two forks must be there normally, but it will not be like that, right? So one, two, three. So left side of one will have the right side fork of three. Right side of left will have left side fork of 2, right? Likewise, that it would have the corresponding number of forks. So we'll start with that 1, 2, 3, 4. So by that they will manage and they will move forward. So to solve this problem, so how when the thread need to be move forward, when the thread need to be uh, stay back, right? When it should be in ideal state, when he will be thinking, when he will be eating. So that could be managed properly, right? So while he is eating, it will be in critical section. That should be managed by my synchronized keyword. The resources are busy. You wait, right? The process is called starvation. Till the time the monk will be thinking, that is called starvation. So that could be managed easily through my synchronized keyword, right? So that could be the very good application that we come across in our multi-threading. Once we come for our generic programming. What does it mean by generic? I am going to write a method to perform addition of two numbers. Addition of two numbers. I have given generally, but the thing is, the method could be able to perform addition of two integers, addition of two floating numbers, addition of two double numbers, right? So it could be able to perform addition of two numbers, but the thing is, the data type is general. I am characterizing the generalization of the given data type. I will write a generic program, generic method, that it is work for any type of data. That is the term generic method. The same is applicable for my class also. I could able to create a generic class. I will use the parameters T, U, V, W, E. These are all the parameters that I could able to manage and keep it forward. And next, we are coming for AWT and Swing. Right? AWT is the native platform of Java for producing my GUI environment. Swing is the interoperable platform for my entire environment, right? Even I could be able to port it for other places also. That could be the major difference. And one more advantage on AWT is applet that I could be able to use in all web pages, right? If it's because it supports HTML, right? HTML will ready to carry it using the tag param, right? So through that, through the applet tag using the param attribute, I could able to carry my class independency through my applet. It is possible for me. That is the main advantage of applet, right? But my applet controls are very rigid. They are not flexible, right? That is the reason why people have moved for Swing. So we are getting very much flexible controls. So commonly, how to differentiate AWT and Swing? In AWT, all your controls will come as it is, but in Java, in Swing, it will come before the control name. I will get J. That is the way to differentiate AWT and Swing. For example, in AWT, I will get text field, but in Swing, I will get J text field. In AWT, I will get button. In Swing, I will get J button, right? So that is the main difference that I could able to identify. If your program is given, so whether this program belongs to AWT or Swing, so I could able to find it very easily. As well as for AWT, we have a life cycle. What is that? So we have a method called the init that will help me to initialize all the graphics components for my program, right? What is the logic I need to represent in the graphical environment? That logic must be written within the paint method, right? Paint method. This paint method is will having an argument called graphics. Okay, so paint method. So paint method is the place where I will write logic. Remember three places coincidingly. The logic which may generate exception, that must be written within try block. The logic which may return which may exhibit the feature of multi-threading, that must be written within run method. The logic that which is going to be generated as a graphical output in AWT, that must be written within the paint method, right? So these main methods are need to be remembered as always, right? So the controls, that whatever we have seen the J button. So I could able to create J label, and I could able to come for J radio button, and I could able to go for my J checkbox. When I'm going to use my radio button, I have to use my button group, right? So that is very very important for me. I could able to use my J panel, right? I could able to group the controls within a single panel, right? So these are all some of the controls pertaining to each and every control. The control need to be fired, that means how to perform event driven programming for every control. First, if you want to perform any events over on that, so that must be mentioned as action event or item event, right? So how the method and the control will communicate through a interface called a listener, right? Add action listener, add item listener. So through these listeners, the method and the control will communicate, right? So that is the way to perform event driven programming on these controls. Fine. So these are all the major areas that you have to capture over on these topics. Okay, pertaining to the overlay of all these topics, you try to incorporate, apply these topics also, right? I could able to create a scientific calculator using swing. Okay, using swing. Parallelly, I could able to create two screens in my environment. That could be done through my multi-threading. Okay, I am going to write only one function, but different types of arguments are being passed to process that function. I could able to use generics. Whatever the results that I am receiving, that will be stored in a log, nothing but a file that can be achieved through my stream. Okay, whenever any anonymous inputs are going to given, for example 1 divided by 0 in my calculator, it need to generate exception, normally divide by 0. Instead of that, I could able to give math error, that can be done through my exception. So while creating a single application, I need to encompass all my topics whatever I have learned. That shows the real engineering applicable knowledge on the development environment, right? So that could be the complete revision for you this session, and along with that I want to show you one textbook. Even I will share you through a mail after this session. This textbook will be helpful for you pertaining to your campus preparation, right? So what is this textbook? Java Puzzlers, right? A very famous textbook, worldwide people will be using, and more number of open campuses, that means international level companies recruitment being done through the first level pure technical round through these textbooks only, right? You have to understand and you have to observe the answer, because they will give question as well as answer, right? Go through the question, understand the answer. That could be the thing. Even they will give you explanation for answer also, why this answer had come, right? So that could be the best textbook to come across ever. So might be this could be the older version. Recent versions also being emerged. You can purchase it from Amazon. Even I will share this textbook also for your reference. Okay, so that could be the case. So likewise, yesterday there will be a quiz. I request the teachers to share the quiz in the Meet chat as well as in their respective class WhatsApp group. Complete the quiz before your next class commences. Thank you.